Hi, hello. This is Mr. Chow. Welcome to another video. Now, I have decided to make this video simply to help the parents to adjust to the home-based learning, which has been kind of forced upon us because now that the schools are closed, all the students and teachers have to take their lessons online, right? But before we take a look at the silver linings, okay, of the current situation, let's take a look at some of the facts about the coronavirus. And hopefully some of this information that I'm about to present will be useful to you to help you to prepare for what is about to come. The facts that I'll be presenting, a lot of it is based on my research. I'll leave the links to the articles, okay, in the video description. So feel free to check out the links to verify any information that you may hear coming from this video. Okay, the first fact that I would like to present is that the virus itself can affect any age, right? Although we already know that the elderly are in a more vulnerable position. So I do have some articles that is evidence that the newborn can be infected. Teenagers, 16 years old, 19 years old, they can also be infected, and in the worst case scenarios, they have died from the infection. So this is not a situation to joke about, all right? So the consequences can be pretty serious, can be pretty severe. So hopefully everyone can take the measures seriously and don't leave home without a mask. All right. And the second fact that I have here is that the coronavirus can actually spread through water droplets. So according to the World Health Organization, the WHO, now the virus is actually spread through virus when somebody is breathing within 1 meter of the droplets. And hence this explains why we have the social distancing measures where we are supposed to keep at least a 1 meter distance from the other people. Okay, that's so that we don't get infected. And all the more important that we should be wearing masks as long as we are leaving our homes. All right. And the third fact that I have here is that the virus is actually highly contagious, which means that it can spread very easily. So on average, okay, one infected person is known to spread to about 2.2 persons on average. So you can imagine, if without any form of containment measures, okay, it's very easy for the virus, okay, to cause an outbreak, okay, which explains why we are having the pandemic that we have now, because in many communities and many countries we have kind of like underestimated the potential, okay, for this virus to go viral, okay, and spread so easily, right? And the fourth fact that we have here is that there are a high percentage of those who are infected, they're actually asymptomatic, which means that they are not showing any signs of symptoms. So that kind of makes the virus hard to detect and harder, for the authorities, okay, to deal with or to try and contain the virus itself, because these people may be infected and then they are just walking around like any normal people without showing any form of symptoms. They themselves are probably unaware that they're carrying this virus around, okay, and then they're walking around. So there's always the potential, okay, for them to spread the virus further to other people. Again, wear mask. All right. The fifth fact that we have here, that the numbers that we are seeing now, right, are unprecedented, right? So as of the making of this video, which is 16 April 2020, okay, the virus has infected over 2 million people worldwide, okay, with over 130,000 deaths, all right, all over the world, okay. But despite that, all right, the sixth fact that I have here is that there are some countries who have been known to be successful, okay, in the containment of the outbreak, okay, more notably, okay, Taiwan, South Korea, Georgia, and New Zealand. All right. So what are some of the common denominators that we see that these countries have? First of all, there's widespread testing, very swift testing. Okay, swift action, is the common denominator, right? Every country who has been successful in containing this outbreak, they have not hesitated at all. They have not procrastinated. In fact, they implemented measures as early as possible. They do widespread testing, okay, test and test and test as frequent as possible for as many people as possible. They implement social distancing. some of them implement lockdowns, okay, and lockdowns have been very common these days in many countries, including Singapore. Stopping flights, closing schools, closing borders, okay, and through contact tracking. So, or it can be any combination of these measures together. So interestingly, South Korea is the only country that I mentioned that has not implemented a complete lockdown, and yet they have been very successful in containing the virus. Okay, but they did close schools earlier. All right. And I would like to highlight New Zealand, because they have taken a kind of a different approach from most countries, because a lot of countries actually depends on a more progressive approach. That's when they wait for the numbers to come out to happen, and then they try to respond to those numbers by stepping up their measures, right? But New Zealand has taken the opposite approach. So they have come to the conclusion that a lockdown is inevitable, right, in order for the containment to be effective. So what they have done is that, since it's going to be inevitable, why not have the lockdown right away, right? So they call this the elimination approach, okay, which I think makes a lot of sense, because this is more preventive rather than reactive, right? So if you are reactive, then you're always catching up to the latest numbers, the next release numbers, so there's always a lag. All right. Whereas for New Zealand, and so far it has been proven to be very effective, they straight away implemented a 4 weeks lockdown. Okay, and we can see that because of such drastic measures being taken very early, okay, they were not waiting for the virus to spread around the community. So they are in a relatively good position compared to many other countries. And I think one primary reason, okay, why this approach is effective, okay, because I personally think that since the citizens will not be compliant if they see some weaknesses in the measures, right? In other words, there's no in between, right? So, for example, we can ban gatherings, okay, but if schools are not closed and then work from home measures are not implemented, so that means people still need to commute, right? So if the virus can still spread through public transport, then why bother to adhere to the banned gatherings altogether, right? You say, no, if I don't get it from the banned gatherings, I'm going to get it from public transport, right? So why bother? Okay, so a lot of these measures will be deemed ineffective, and governments will have problems trying to get the compliance of the people, right? Simply because of certain weaknesses in the measures. So what I believe is that that's why complete containment makes a lot more sense, because then everybody see that everybody else is complying to the rules. Okay, there's no other way, okay, that for the outbreak to get out of control, then there's a higher chance, okay, that most people are willing to comply, okay, with the rules and the measures that we have. So, but the title of this video is actually, are there silver linings in the current coronavirus pandemic? I think there are, right? First of all, okay, we have vaccines that are in development right now, and some experts have mentioned that for life to actually go back to normal, a vaccine will need to be developed, right? And understand that vaccines need to go through pre-clinical trials, which means that they tested on animals first and then deemed that it's safe before being allowed clinical trials, means to be able to test on humans, and then if they pass those tests, then the vaccines can be released and manufactured and distributed worldwide. All right. So it was in the news that Duke NUS Medical School in Singapore, okay, along with 66 others worldwide, they have a vaccine, okay, but they are in the preclinical trials, means still testing on animals. And according to the WHO, okay, as of today's date, 16 April 2020, 3 vaccines are already in the clinical trials stage, right? So the 67 is in the testing on animals, right? So only 3 they are already doing human testing, okay? And the experts say that in a super fast track scenario, it will take 18 months to develop the vaccine, right? And my guess is that it will probably take a few more months, okay, for them to, even after successful development, for them to manufacture and distribute the vaccine to the rest of the world. Okay, so maybe we are hoping for a cure or a treatment for the virus so that it will not cause any more fear, anxiety, or deaths. All right. The second silver lining that I want to talk about is that we are witnessing, okay, unprecedented again, widespread technology adoption, okay, simply because of these measures. So uh, many families, teachers, students, okay, they are actually forced, okay, to stay at home, right? So now they have to use tools, okay, to conduct home-based learning, to conduct meetings, okay, and even to shop online a lot more, right, compared to when we have normal times. So now almost everyone, okay, they were more aware of the benefits and the limitations of the technology. Okay, so I myself picked out quite a few things while trying to conduct online lessons for my students. Okay, so that means that we are now in a much better position, okay, to take advantage of technology, okay, after the pandemic blows over, right? So we are more used to maybe making cashless payments, more comfortable with online shopping, more comfortable with using uh, you know uh, online tools to teach or to hold meetings. Okay, so those are advantages, okay, that we have. And the third silver lining, okay, that we have is that I think now is a time, right, to build resilience for ourselves and also to show the young. Okay, I think a lot of the young in Singapore, okay, if you have been watching my previous video, I always feel that they have been overprotected. Okay, now this is a situation, right, that is unfamiliar to them, that they have never seen before, and they don't. A lot of them are slow, okay, to pick up on the seriousness of this pandemic, right? And I feel that now is a good time, okay, for them to build up that resilience, okay, to let them know that life sometimes doesn't always go the direction that you have planned, and it doesn't always go as smooth sailing as you would like. All right, and so what happens, or how do we respond, okay, during such uncertain times, okay, under such challenging times? All right. So given the fragility of life, okay, anything and everything can be taken in the flesh. All right, so possibly for those who have been reading and being aware of what is happening in the world, okay, this is a lesson that I think we can take to heart. Okay, then at the same time, okay, not to learn not to take what we have for granted. All right, because suddenly some of these conditions that change and we have no control over them, and then our life and our lifestyles are affected. So let's hope that everyone, and not just the young, okay, also adults, okay, can learn more about being resilient, and at the same time being more appreciative for the life that we have. And I think in Singapore we are still considered quite blessed. Okay, unlike if you follow the news of the other countries, especially countries that are living in poverty, they are having a very hard time because the poor cannot afford not to work. So if you contain them, then they're just going to starve to death, right? So if you have containment measures, um, they starve to death. If you don't have, they are at risk of contracting the virus, and then also risking their lives as well. So it's a lose-lose situation. It just made life a lot more harder for these people, right? And considering that we are still getting a lot of handouts from governments, a lot of help from charity organizations. So I think we have to count our lucky stars and not take all these good things for granted. All right, and we should continue to build up this resilience that I've been talking about. Okay, and I would like to end this video, okay, by recommending that everyone should stay at home. Do not leave your house unnecessarily, and if you have to buy groceries or whatever, just wear your mask, okay, and more importantly, okay, find ways to stay positive. All right, I know the first few weeks of having to stay at home may be a bit testing, okay, for many people, okay, because it's an unusual situation. They are not used to having so many people in the house. They might be having problems with technology and so on and so forth. And some people may even be anxious or frustrated, okay, with the stay-at-home measures because I don't know, some may have lost their jobs, okay, or have their income reduced or taken away completely, and just have their life uprooted just because of the pandemic. All right, but take comfort, right, in knowing that the money has not disappeared, it has not gone anywhere. It's probably sitting somewhere in some banks or organizations' bank accounts, okay, waiting to be injected back into the economy when the measures are eased. All right, so it is therefore all the more important that we stay healthy, okay, positive, and be able to start getting back to work once the pandemic is over. All right, so I'd like to end this video by wishing everyone, okay, please stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon in the next video. All right, bye bye.